already got a game here. I saw the guy advertising for a French banned list game, so I'm always eager to play against someone that's got that list. I expect that at some point down the road we may see an update that switches over to something more similar to the French banned list for Commander. So I think it's always good to play test when you get a chance. He's playing Tesya, Orzhov Scion, and I've got a pretty solid draw, plenty of acceleration. Obviously, you draw things like Cold Steel Heart instead of Mana Crypt and Soul Ring, but, you know, that's the format. Unfortunately, they still have the play-draw rule in effect in the French ban list, or I should say the play and draw rule, which is one of my biggest complaints about online EDH. I really wish that they would update this. It's just such a stupid advantage going first in this format. Just ludicrous, actually. So I've drawn a lapse here. He's got a rat on turn 2. So looking at my hand, I need pretty much all the acceleration that I have here. This all curves out pretty well, especially if I draw another land here to next turn go, or turn 3 being able to play my Thran Dynamo, and then into Tezzeret. Unfortunately, this deck is very, very much weaker in French banned Commander, or I should say Tezzeret is much weaker in French banned list because the two most commonly tutored up targets, the Crypt and the Soul Ring, are not available. Additionally, even though I do play Expedition Map, I don't have Strip Mine, nor do I have Crucible, so that whole lock is not available as well. So Tezzeret is certainly super powerful, but he's not uber powerful the way he is in the other format. Of course, he's my primary finisher, so I still would play him as a no-brainer. But looking at this hand, I don't, given that I'm going to be ramping for a while and I've got better counters, I expect that Lapse is probably the first thing to throw away. I like the Snapcaster Mage as a way to recur something more powerful than Memory Lapse. So that's what I discard. I draw Bribery. That's a perfect example of a good target to recur. And blue-black, or I should say black-white, Tesya decks tend to play with a lot of token makers that are really, really good to grab with Bribery, the really expensive ones. Unfortunately, I did not get a land there. I do need one. I expect he's just going to play his commander, and there it is. I didn't draw land, but Rolling Earthquake is quite an awesome card to draw. I mean, basically against this deck, because it's totally designed to just swarm you, I have 2 key cards that I'm going to deploy against it, Rolling Earthquake being one, and the other one being, of course, Cyclonic Rift. So unfortunately, I just have to play an artifact and cast Nin. I like that he just wastes a turn mortifying Nin. I'm totally fine with that. There's an island. So I gave some thought to just running out Tezzeret here and untapping 2 land to keep him a little bit busy. But these decks tend to play Crusades as well. If I cast Tezzeret and he just casts some Crusade and buff both of his guys, I'd be in a world of hurt because I would have just paid 5 mana to blunt his attack step for the turn and lost one of my key guys. So I'm going to wait, actually. And I'm just going to keep him busy here with Nin some more. He attacks me again. He plays Increasing Devotion. Pretty powerful card. 5 1/1s for 5 mana. And obviously he's casting that right now just to kill off Nin. I'm not sure if I fully agree with that play, given that he can always respond to me investing mana in Nin. So it works to his advantage to just wait for me to spend mana, because it totally frees up my turn. So now I'm going to play Tezzeret, and we're going to Quake Whale all of his guys. And even though he's got a factor in play, my plan is actually to flash out the Snapcaster Mage to block the factory if he does attack with it. He doesn't, though. He just casts this guy and says, go. So obviously he just totally missed an attack step there with factory. Unless he really wants to keep his land, he's worried. Skullclamp, though. Very big problem. Normally I'd be able to counter it or keep it off balance. But with Stoneforge Mystic out, he can just put it into play. This card is deadly against me. I do top deck a Forbid, which is really nice. So I've got options to go grab a Shackles and start to do Shackles magic, but the Shackles doesn't really solve the problem. All it would do, if I got Shackles, I could steal the Mystic and force him to cast the Skullclamp, which is very, very reasonable play, given that I've got a worthless Chrome Mox in my hand. But I decide I'm going to go look for something in his deck to see what he's got. We can see what his deck is here. I think it's quite good, actually. I like a lot of his choices. Seems to have most of the good cards that white wants to play. Lots of token makers as expected. Pack Rat, which I'm glad he didn't draw early. And some Planeswalkers. Just an overall good deck. If I was going to build a Tesya deck in French ban list, this is about what I would build. But I'm going to grab a Skeletal Vampire. Sorry, I didn't let you look at his creatures a little bit longer. But he didn't have anything. He did have the 3/3 or the 2/2 sliver, the Necrotic Sliver. I was pretty interested in that because that would give me a way to kill the Skullclamp. But at the same time, I really want some blockers to keep Tezzeret alive. And he only has one token in play at the moment. Now he's got 3 though. So in this turn, he casts Night's Whisper, and then he just chills. And I'm really kind of puzzled by this whole play here. Like, I really would have thought he would have put out the clamp, and then maybe just clamped 1 or 2 of his guys just to draw more cards. I mean, might as well. I mean, my hand is pretty junky right now. So given that he's got 4 clampable guys in play, or at least 3, I decide that I'm just going to force the issue here by snapcasting my Rolling Earthquake, regenerating my Vampire, and clearing off his board. Just to unclutter the board a little bit. And Tezzeret's got a lot of counters right now too, which is really nice. So at the end of the turn, he cast Return to Dust. And I gave some serious thought to countering this here, but I was just 1 mana short, unfortunately, of being able to buy back the Forbid and then cast it again, because it is paramount that I stop the Skullclamp. That's my #1 priority. So as much as I wanted to keep my Thran Dynamo away, there was no way to get the mana to work, unfortunately, so that I'd have 3 mana on his turn, and regretfully I have to let it die. Figuring Tezzeret still makes 2 mana by himself, so I really have effectively 7, which is plenty. So on his turn he casts Imperia Angel, which I'm actually quite happy to see, because I want a target for Shackles. So he casts Dark Tutelage, and I am very happy I kept my Forbid, because I do not want to see that card hit play. So now, yeah, unfortunately, I was all excited. I was like, yes, I drew a land too. But then I realized that if I put Shackles into play, I don't have the ability to steal the Angel and then play the land, because I only have 2 islands, which is a little unfortunate. But we get Shackles, grab. Feeling nice and fortified here. He casts Tesya, which I'm fine with. And there's the Clamp, countered. Excellent. So now we're looking pretty solid here. The Clamp has obviously such degenerate synergy with Tesya, I cannot let it stay in play. I draw Lightning Bolt, which when I first draw this I was thinking, wow, that's kind of bad. But the more I think about it, actually, it's a pretty handy draw. And I gave some thought actually to just immediately going and getting another pair of Shackles, given that I've seen him lose Return to Dust. And when I briberied him, he really didn't have a whole lot of ways to kill artifacts. So 2 Shackles in play, grabbing the Tesya as well, and I can start beating for damage with my 2 guys. But I really wanted to get 1 more counter on Tezzeret before I did that. So I'm just going to play another Nin here and start doing the whole Nin Shackle shenanigans, which has won so many games. He casts Tainted Pact and immediately sees Lingering Souls. It's absolutely incredible, incredible card. God, I can't believe this card's... It's uncommon, too. It's so ridiculous. Look at how good that is. So he casts his thing, and in response, of course, I just bolt this guy. So now I'm very happy I had the Lightning Bolt there, because that keeps him from killing Nin on this turn. He flashes it back. So he's got a bunch of flyers, but I am not afraid. I draw Ponder. And what I really want to hit here is a counterspell, of course, because he's down to 1 card in hand. Tezzeret has enough counters that he can survive an entire attack, and I can start wiping out his board. But Tidings shows up, and I'm very, very happy that this is Tidings right now and not Steam Augury. I haven't made the change in this deck, actually, and I don't know if I will, to be honest. So I'm going to cast Tidings, which is awesome. I really, really want to hit a fetch land here. Hitting a fetch land would allow me to double up on the Angel and pretty much completely solidify my defense. But I kind of get a quasi fetch land in the form of Simulacrum. So we're going to do that. Booyah. Look at that. We are looking pretty solid. He's got one more opening, and he is ticking a little bit closer to this increasing devotion card. In fact, he's only one land away from it now. There's 9, or he's got 8 in play. Actually, no, I guess he does have 9. Yeah, and he's going for it right now. I was actually a little bit more concerned about Tesya coming down here than this, because even though it's a lot of dudes, it's not the end of the world. I draw Counterflux. Got another dude out, and I'm going to go get another Shackles. So he can send in his whole team and lose a bunch of guys and kill Tezzeret here at this point, and that's about it. Double Shackles is pretty hard for white-black to beat. So as expected, Tesya comes down. We're just going to counter that, because him being able to sacrifice a million white creatures is super bad for me. That guy again for a second. When another black creature you control dies. Alright. And then he has this. So brutal. Intangible Virtue. God, of all cards to have right now, boy does that change the game. So I am sitting here thinking there's no way I can lose the game now. And he drops his Token Crusade. And now I'm facing an army of 2/2s. How many is that? It's 14 2/2s. They're all coming in. But at least we've got some good blocks involving his creatures. So I've got just enough guys to double up in a bunch of ways. I'm able to take down 5 of his guys and take 16 damage. Simulacrum dies, and I topped a Cryptic Command off of it, which is phenomenal, given the fact that it buys me an entire attack step to use Nin. So untap the Monolith. Untap one of these things. I'm holding the Angel still. So remand. So I'm just going to go and have Nin blow herself up right now, because I really want to hit a fetch land here. My entire plan is just to tap his whole team and develop more. So thanks to Tezzeret still being alive, we can draw a ton. Looks like that's 9. Beautiful. We've got a Force of Will here, a Negate, to stop the Intangible Virtue when he replays it. And I've got a land, not a fetch land though. So I think about playing the Mind Stone, and then I realize, oh wait a minute, I've got Reliquary Tower in play, I don't have to discard. So I figure he's going to tap out and cast Tesya again. I can remand it, and then Cryptic Command, tapping all of his guys. But he draws something different, so he casts Chainer's Edict. I'm more than happy to borrow one of his guys to sack to that effect. And then he taps out to flash it back. This is where just Cryptic Command is so backbreaking. And so I think about this, and I'm thinking, well, I could sack the bird. I'm tapping all his guys anyway, but you know what? I'd much rather just sack the Angel, because then I can just steal 2 more guys next turn. Since I don't need to block anything, I just tap all of his dudes. I draw Mana Drain. Untap both Shackles. Tezzeret's still alive, and he realizes with no cards in hand, and I can steal 2 dudes and block 2, and he can get in for... I mean, I think maybe him conceding was a bit premature, but I guess he just figures I've got 10 cards in my hand, and there's no way he's getting through this, and he's basically right. Because what I would do is I would play probably the Wasteland to protect against the Factory. I would untap Grim Monolith and an Artifact, getting more mana available. And during his attack, I would steal 2 guys, and I would into the Royal with Buyback, or with Kicker on his Intangible Virtue to shrink all of his dudes down to little shrimps, and negate it on the way out, and Force of Will anything else he might do, and pretty much wrap the game up. But anyway, pretty awesome game. It's always fun to see a French Commander game go off, and glad it was close. I like his deck, though. See you later.